When it comes to Windows Phone, AT&T is your go-to carrier. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and you've got an option at the $50 price point, at the $100 price point, and at the $200 price point with the Focus 2, the Lumia 900, and the Titan 2. Really, when it boils down to it, it's all about what you want. If you want the camera, go with the Titan 2. If you want the AMOLED display with clear black technology, go with the Lumia 900. If you want price, go with the Focus 2. You know what we do in PhoneDog land when we've got a bunch of Windows phones or a bunch of anything for that matter, and we're trying to figure out which one's the best. We put them together in a dogfight battle. Here's the Lumia 900. Here's the Samsung Focus 2. This one's $100. This one's $49.99. They pack some different hardware specs, pretty similar on the software front. We're going to see which one is the ultimate must-have Windows phone on AT&T. Before we get into that, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with Focus 2s, Lumia 900s, and more. Actually, I just sent one of these to PhoneDog East for giveaway in the One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your camera settings, all that good stuff. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. Let's take a look. Lumia 900, Focus 2. It's dogfight time. Let's kick this thing off. Similar in a lot of ways, different in a lot of ways as well. These are two awesome Windows Phone choices on AT&T. We got the Samsung Focus 2 over here, available now on AT&T in white for $49.99. So for $50, you can get a pretty decently spec'd Windows Phone device. Over here, the Nokia Lumia 900, available now for $99.99, and it's available in three colors. This blue, as you see here, black, and then a glossy white. And like I said, they're all $99.99. Both available now. Both are a little bit different. But the question that I really have for the dogfight is, you know, specs are similar in a lot of ways. There's some awesome choices on both. They're both LTE devices, so they're both capable of AT&T's 4G LTE network if you live in a market that has LTE. My question is, $50 here, $100 here. Is there enough of a difference between the two to justify the extra $50 of the Lumia 900, or should you go with this one for $50? Which one's the best for mom? Which one's the best for you? We're going to find out all those questions and more in this dogfight. So here's the Focus 2. Let's give it a rundown here in terms of specs. It has a 1.4 gigahertz Snapdragon S2 processor, single core. It has a 4-inch Super AMOLED display over here. It's got a 5 megapixel camera with 720p HD video recording, as well a 1,730 milliamp hour battery over here. 4G LTE, 1,750 milliamp hour battery over here, and then 4G LTE capability. So a nice kind of svelte design here. Looks a lot like a typical Samsung product. Plasticky, power button on the right side, camera button on the right side, your volume rocker over here on the left, your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and then your power button up top. What I like about this one is it fits really well in the hand. It seems more like a traditional phone. It's 4 inches, maybe too small for some people that are coming from an Android device or something, let's say 4.5 or 4.7 inches. Let's say you're upgrading from that old HD2 perhaps, or you know, maybe you're coming up from another Android device with a little bit of a bigger display. This could be a downfall, potential downfall at that, of the Focus 2. Then you have the Lumia 900 over here. Also has a 1.4 gigahertz Snapdragon S2 processor that's single core. It has a 4.3-inch AMOLED display with Nokia's clear black technology, a 1,830 milliamp hour battery. So a little bit of a bigger battery over here, but a bigger display as well. So it kind of is a wash, at least in terms, we'll talk more about this in part 2, but it's really kind of a wash in terms of battery life on both of these, between the 1,750 milliamp hour one and the 1,830 over on the Lumia 900. A little bit of a bigger display though, 8 megapixel camera on the back of this with 720p HD video recording. It's a Carl Zeiss lens, or has Carl Zeiss optics rather, and then your front-facing camera on both of these devices. Both are running Windows Phone 7.5, also known as Mango, and out of the box you get some similar applications. You can access those by either swiping over or by pressing the arrow button right there. But before we do that, actually, let's take a look at the home screens on both of these devices. This is called Metro UI, and it's kind of the structure of Windows Phone. It's intended to look like subway tiles. You can see some are square, some are rectangular. You can't control in the settings which ones are square and which ones are rectangular. Those little things are things I'd like to see as Windows Phone kind of grows and evolves. I'd like to see that level of personalization come in a future version, but I won't spend too much time on that. I'll talk about that in all of the Windows Phone videos. Out of the box, you get some AT&T stuff. Code Scanner, Family Map Navigator. I've deleted some of the stuff off of actually both of these devices, but this one I just went through a fresh reset a couple of days ago. So out of the box, you see a bunch of AT&T stuff. The great thing about the AT&T stuff, you can uninstall it. Actually, some of it's kind of useful. You know, you look at like Uverse, if you have a Uverse account, which I just signed up for Uverse in my home. The mobile application is actually pretty decent. The Code Scanner, My Wireless Navigator, you don't really need it because you have maps on the device, you can uninstall that. And then down here, ESPN. These are some Nokia-specific applications. ESPN. Down through here, you can see Office pre-installed on both devices. Now is a Samsung application. It's kind of like Daily Briefing, and actually when you go into it, you'll see the Daily Briefing text. The version over here, you don't get one over on the Nokia. This is kind of their level of customization. You see this on HTC with HTC Hub. You see on the Titan 2, for example, but you can see weather, news, stocks, and then of course little things like currency, top tweets, and more all in one place. Interface down here looks pretty similar. You got your back button, your home button, and then your search button on both of these devices, which they were lit up just for a second there, so it's kind of hard to see. But down here, again, Office, like I said, you get YP Mobile on both of these devices, you get Tango video calls, but then you go into the marketplace, for example, and we'll jump right into this so you can see what I'm talking about. And you have Samsung Zone over here, and for whatever reason, the AT&T stuff hasn't populated just yet, but you usually have an AT&T App Store and a Nokia-specific App Store as well. So Samsung Zone, for example, you can see a lot of the Samsung-specific applications you can download for the Focus 2, and then there's a Nokia one as well, which I'm not quite sure why it's not populating yet. But there are a couple of different applications like CNN, ESPN is out of that application catalog as well, and you can easily access that. App Highlights is another thing that comes on the Lumia 900 and will allow Nokia to send notifications to the phone, and you can come into App Highlights, for example, and take a look at some of these featured applications, some staff picks, starter kit, and more, and then you can come in here and say, oh, Xbox, yeah, of course we want that, iHeartRadio, we want that, Netflix, and more, Open Table, because we love making dinner reservations, and you can do all of that through the App Highlights. I'd love to see, I don't know why it's not populating yet. At some point it'll populate with Nokia's specific app store, or like little area of the app store, if you will, the marketplace, like it does on the Samsung devices. Same thing with HTC, you'll see that on carrier or manufacturer devices. That's little bits of customization that you get as a result of Windows Phone. So let's take a look at messaging on both of these, because you got a 4-inch display here, you got a 4.3-inch display over here. That's a demo phone that I've been using, so we can come in here and say, Phone Dog is awesome, and then we'll start up a new one over here, and you can see the keyboard size difference. Now on both of these devices, what I don't like is the keyboard doesn't stretch all the way out. So you've got this 4-inch display here, 4.3-inch display here. It doesn't make full use of it in landscape. And the reason why is because the notifications bar is here on both of these devices, and you can see LTE obviously running on both. That's all well and good. You can't keep that on the screen, so regardless of whether you have there's no setting to keep it on the display, so you notice those that will go away. I'd love to see the keyboard stretch out into full landscape mode to maximize that, because I think at 4 inches, for some people, this might be just ever so slightly too small in portrait or in landscape mode. If you have big hands, you're coming from a BlackBerry, you're coming from something with a physical keyboard, that may be an issue for you. It may not be. You may get used to it. But Windows Phone keyboard, I will say it's pretty accurate and pretty spot on, so we'll say the Quick Brown Fox jumped, we'll just keep it simple today, over the lazy dog. Quick Brown Fox jumped over the lazy dog. Pretty quick and easy to type on, and one thing I like about Windows Phone, you can click a word and get automatic suggestions that you can change it to pretty easily, pretty quickly and easily, just like the Quick Brown Fox. So the Quick Brown Fox jumper over the past dog. And then over here, same setup with the keyboard, the Quick Brown Fox jumped over the lazy dog. Quick Brown Fox jumped over the lazy dog, and again, you can do the same thing over here. I think because of the little bit of a larger display, people that again are coming from BlackBerry, something with a physical keyboard, Droid Pro, something of that nature, may find this to be a little bit easier to use right out of the gate. But I think you can certainly get used to the Focus 2, particularly considering it's $50 cheaper. Down here, you'll see 3 buttons down at the bottom, and so we'll take a look here, for example, on the Focus 2. And you can press those and get easy access to what those buttons are. So you can see send, attach, and speak, along with delete thread. Because the software is so similar, you'll notice the same thing over here as well. No real differences there. And I can delete that thread when I'm done. So pretty simple, pretty quick and easy to use. You've got messages, and you can access your online buddies as a result of Windows Live, the integration that's built in to the messaging there. Now, People Hub is another awesome thing, and I'll show you that really quickly. People Hub loads up like this, and you've got some cool little things you can do in here. So you obviously see yourself. I see the most recent Twitter update. My Twitter account is integrated into this, so I can come over here and see what's new. I've got some, ironically, Nokia, and then over here I can see all, and once I start calling people, I can see the people that I call the most. So I get little tiles with their pictures of people that I dial the most. Now you can see the contacts here. This is a cool feature also. So I can go over to Sam Johnson, for example, hit the S, and I only have contacts that are under S and T. So it shows me that. I really like that when I have all my, 200 contacts on my phone, I can see, oh, I don't have anybody that starts with a J, or anybody that starts with a Z, or an X, or anything like that. and I can easily, I do have people that start with a J actually, but I don't think I have anybody that starts with an X or a Z, whereas over here, you know, same thing, and you can see which ones you don't have. So that's kind of a cool little setting, you know, little things like that where I'm like, hey, they put some focus, put some work into this. Put some focus, pun intended, ah ha ha, that's a bad joke on a Wednesday afternoon, but you get the idea. People Hub is pretty nice, and you can come in to the Me tile, for example, and so you can see it here, 64 new items. You can do this on the Focus 2 as well. And scroll over to notifications, I can see all my tweets. Then I can post a message, I can check in or set chat status directly from this tile. So I want to post a Twitter message, for example, I can tell the phone where to post it to, and I can easily post it over there. Same setup over here, and go down to that Me tile and do the same thing. So I have some other applications pre-installed, and one thing I really like about Windows Phone, it needs some work in terms of, again, personalization, but I like the live tiles a lot. I have a news live tile going here that's a result of Samsung's daily briefing, and then I have the Weather Channel tile over here as well, along with Wireless Manager, but you can see the news is fluctuating in and out. Apparently it's showing the weather in Tokyo. I think that was because I set it on Tokyo for the last review or the dogfight or something, but you can easily access that stuff. Now the downside is it still requires a lot of use. Like when you go into the application, you have to click and select a lot of things to get the live tile to display, and I'd still like more control over what's on the live tile. But other than that, the personalization is relatively decent. One other thing I want to point out, you'll see the color differences here. This is one thing you can do on both Windows phones. You can come over and change the theme. So you can change the wallpaper when you turn the device off and back on. But outside of that, you can't have any wallpapers, at least right now, behind the applications when you're on the home screen or when you're in the app drawer or in the app menu, anything like that. But what you can do is change the background from dark to light, and you can change the accent color as well. Now, both of these devices obviously are AMOLED displays. The downside of that is white sucks the battery life out of an AMOLED display. So you're probably not going to want to stick with white, but I can do lime over here, for example. I can do brown over here, and I'm actually going to switch these back to dark just to conserve energy. And you can see the colors easily change. But again, both are AMOLED displays, so keep that in mind with light colors. And that's why you'll see a lot of, by default out of the box, you'll see the dark colors, though you do have the ability to change minor things like the tile colors and then things like that. The wallpaper as well, there are some unique wallpapers. On both of these devices, you get some stock Windows Phone stuff, and then beyond that, you do get a couple of custom ones that you'll notice if you've worked with Android devices in the past. You'll automatically notice some of these. For example, that from the Galaxy S2 series, and then some Nokia ones in here as well from previous Nokia builds.